Have you ever made a Betty Crocker box cake and thought, yeah, I can make a business out of this? Well, today we are going to be talking about somebody who did just that. So have a seat with us at the Weird Kids lunch table, and we'll have a little lunchtime chat about Cakegate. I am here with Brittany
Hello, hello.
and Amber.
Hello.
My name is Lilith. We will introduce this soiree by having Brittany give us a little rundown of what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah, so this rundown is going to be really, really quick because it's really just simple, right? Because what it is it was a home baker who got themselves a business, got too high on their high horse, made a video acting like they were slam dunking on some client. Their cake was terrible. And not worth the price the client paid. So it blew up, and basically they fucked around, and they're in the find out portion of fucking around. So the internet is a cruel mistress, and it's doing its thing. And really all it comes down to with this is, can you make a business being a home baker? Yes. Does that mean you should be charging super professional prices unless you've honed in on those skills? No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no.
So it's one of those things that you kind of see, especially from our time in the 2020 hyperbolic time chamber where everything was stopped. Everybody was picking up hobbies, doing things, acting like, man, I can make this my business. I can make my hobby my full-time my full-time hustle instead of my side hustle. And it's just that.
And here we are.
It's somebody who has an ego, and that's really what their downfall was.
Oh, yeah. The place that we're talking about is called Kylie Cakes with 3 Ks. I'm just going to leave that at that.
Sure, that's a coincidence.
It's, it's just maybe a little foresight on that one could have helped with the whole business. But, apparently it is a 6-figure business right now.
I don't know how, considering that she herself has mentioned that it is in Princeton, West Virginia. That's not a huge town. Like, the town that she's supposedly located in, that's not a huge town. I don't know how she's legitimately generating that much business.
Because she charges an arm and a leg for shitty cakes.
I mean, I guess that too.
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
it gets
this
me
wouldn't
so
be happening.
heated.
Like, this wouldn't be happening if she just was cool about it, right? She got a bad review. She should have rolled with the punches. Nobody would have gave a shit. But because she had to be an ego queen and try to slam dunk on somebody who was in the right,
Because that's the real thing.
This is what happens.
Because that's the real thing here, right? Because the thing is that, it's not unusual to get bad reviews. Every business gets bad reviews. Even the good ones will get bad reviews sometimes.
Yeah.
All she did was basically draw attention to her business in the worst way possible. These are your clients, and if a client wasn't satisfied, there's a lot of reasons that could happen, but it seemed like this client had some pretty good reason to be upset.
Yeah.
She just went off the deep end trying too hard to defend herself. She just didn't really have a leg to stand on, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was really interesting because of my background, where I worked my way up from baking my whole life and then getting a job where I became a baker and then a cake decorator and then a pastry chef for a couple years. This stuff is always really interesting to me because I do have respect for people that bake at home and hone in on it and really sharpen those skills and make beautiful things. This was not that. This was awful. Have I had bad clients myself because I do some baking at home now? Absolutely. The customer's not always right. This customer was very right. This woman was wrong and her customer was right.
That cake was $83.97.
That is ridiculous. It was just a sprinkle cake. It was just a sprinkle cake. I wouldn't have charged more than $40 for that.
And the thing is too is that even if the customer was in the wrong, as a business, it just looks bad attacking a single customer, no matter who it is or what the situation is.
Oh yeah, you guys have
always
seen
look
me.
bad on you.
You guys have seen me have bad interactions with potential customers, and I just send them to you guys. I don't post that shit publicly. You don't do that.
Oh, yeah. In a private conversation with your friends, that makes sense. That's where it should go, not to the public eye where everyone, because basically she was trying to roast this person in front of all these people and basically call her a Karen to all these people,
And here's my thing with that, and this is my biggest gripe, right? She is in a small town. Everybody in that small town knows everybody.
Oh yeah, Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So when she made that TikTok and she made that cake and it showed happy birthday Trilby, everybody that is in her town that saw that TikTok would know exactly who she was talking about.
Oh yeah.
Exactly, because
sure.
I mean, there's not a lot of children named Trilby. Let's be honest.
It
Like
was
it's
the client's mother, so it's an older
an older person.
Okay,
person.
so it's an older
So
name.
like I mean, it's like not a common name. So you're in a small town. You've got a uncommon name. Everyone's gonna know.
If
Like once.
I ordered my mother a cake and it arrived like that one, I would fucking cry and just throw it in the trash and tell my mom that it got ruined. I would never give my mom something that ugly.
It
Didn't the
was-
client like try to fix it?
She remade it.
That's
she
right,
made
that's
her
right.
own rainbow sprinkle cake, and it ended up looking quite a bit better
They're not hard to make.
than what she
Like,
was given.
I'm actually quite surprised at how much that cake was fucked up. Like, that's a really easy cake to make. When you become a cake decorator at like a grocery store or whatever, that's one of the first types of cake that they let you decorate is just something with sprinkles on the outside. It's really easy. It's hard to mess up. This woman found a way to mess it up.
Oh yeah, the writing isn't really legible. I'm not a cake decorator, but I did work in a bakery and I was allowed to write on cakes for clients that are just basic ones that are in the case that you can just buy.
Just the
already
case
made.
cakes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the case cake. So I had to basically just prove that I could write. And given I cannot write in cursive, so I had to ask people if they are okay with me writing in print. And as long as they were okay with that, I would write it. I had to at least show competency. That being said, as someone who is not a cake decorator, who does not do this for a living, I have never done any cake writing that's that bad, even when I was running out of space, honestly.
Yeah, I've written a ridiculous amount of text on ridiculously small cakes before. It's not easy, but it's not like supremely difficult. You just have to practice at it.
Yeah. It looks like her thing is that she puts a dollop of white buttercream on top of it, which makes sense. That's what I would do too in a situation like that. If I had something that was covered in sprinkles like that, or like we had burnt almond torts that were covered and packed with burnt almonds. That's what we would have to do for those. I'd make like a little ribbon of it and then I'd write on top of it. But she didn't put enough.
It looks like she just did a coupler tip rosette of icing and then wrote on it.
It almost reminds me of like a scoop and then just sort of pressing it down, because there's that whole section kind of in the lower right side of it that's just bare sprinkle that she's writing on.
It's fine.
Like, this is fine.
Like, we had fully sprinkled cakes at the place that I worked. I think you and I worked at like the same place, but at different stores, you know?
Yeah.
And we would do like rainbow sprinkle little cakes and people would want them written on. And I'd be like, well, I can scrape the top and re-ice it for you real quick and have it have no sprinkles. I can write on the sprinkles or I can put icing on it. And when I would put icing on it, I would not do it the way that she did.
Oh, yeah. Usually what I would do whenever I was in that position, I took one of the wide tips and made it kind of like a little, like a
banner. Yeah, that works
like a
too.
little banner. Yeah. That way I'd like have
the
like
flat icing tips, the ones that they use to like,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
A flat ice, like a speed icer is what we called them.
Yeah, I use a speed icer, and I would just make like a little ribbon, kind of give it like a little, like, you know, a little curve on the beginning and the end, so it looks like a little banner thing. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah, Brittany was living for this Cakegate drama though. She was sending me everything. She was like, I want to see how mad you get.
Oh yeah, with you being somebody who actually has been trained in this a lot and know what you're talking about, it's so much more interesting to see your reactions, which is why I wanted to do some live reacts of some of Kylie Cake's with 3K's other designs and see what you as a professional thinks.
I also helped pick these out, so I'm very excited.
I've seen
reacts.
a couple of her cakes, but I probably haven't seen most of these. I'm unhappy.
So
we're gonna call this segment Amber Reacts.
Oh,
and it's just gonna be the best thing you're gonna hear all podcast.
This is gonna be a very animated version of me that people are getting to know in this episode.
So the first one is actually gonna be 2 cakes.
Okay.
Because
what is that?
They share a theme.
Oh no. Okay, so these are like doctor cakes. The whole cake is not covered in fondant, but there is fondant on the cake.
That was the weirdest part to me when I was looking at these.
Yeah, because there's a very distinct color difference between the white of the icing and the white of the fondant, and the very rough edge that's cut on the fondant, and the fact that it's bubbled everywhere, and the weird marker coloring on a piece of the fondant to make it black.
The fondant reminds me of Play-Doh. Like, I've seen fondant cakes, and while I don't like like the taste of fondant, so I never personally order them. They're very beautiful.
So I don't use
This
fondant.
looks like kids' Play-Doh. This looks like kids' Play-Doh.
Yeah.
This is what, but it's because fondant is very finicky. Like, you have to be very careful with it. I don't use fondant because it's generally not like vegetarian friendly. I
Oh,
have
yeah, 'cause it's
started
usually made
using
with
modeling
marshmallow.
chocolate for a few things, but like these are not good. Ew, why is there flesh
Speaking-
color in the hole of the shirt?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
there isn't. Hold on.
So with the part that's fondant, what I thought would have at least attempted to make it somewhat better is to try and get the fondant to be like a similar color to the buttercream. Like at least make it kind of like an off-white that matches the buttercream if you're going to just do it that way.
Yeah.
Because it's very clear and obvious that you just kind of stuck random fondant pieces on this thing.
Or just like wrap the whole thing in fondant if you're gonna do this.
Which, speaking of fondant,
Oh,
get
no.
another set.
I wanted to bring up the buttons real quick though, especially on the second one with the flesh-colored neck.
That's so uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, why
Why-
is one flesh colored and one not?
So like
cannot know that.
why are the buttons little, like it's like they got a little like pin cap or something and made a little circle instead of just making like little buttonholes to make it look like buttons. Like I don't understand
Right?
the little circle inside. I'm very confused.
The thing that's getting me right now
I
is
don't-
the collar that's right by that one button. There's a distinct line where she miscut it and didn't cut a new piece. She just kept fucking going. There's a cut line in the fondant.
Oh yeah, on the top of the collar.
My eye like immediately went to that.
Yeah, it's like really obvious.
Yeah, it's not good. What
Yeah.
else did you send me? What?
So
Oh no, I don't like this. These cupcakes are awful. So these are
Those pictures are on her Facebook.
Oh,
Let
God.
let me
So-
scroll there real quick because I'll give you the little bit of the backstory
okay.
on those.
Okay. Can I
Hold on.
describe this image that I'm looking at?
Yes.
So these
yes.
cupcakes have a horrible mountain of icing. It doesn't even look good. That is like a salmon color. And then there's silver and gold chains. And I think the chains are made of fondant and they don't look very nice. They don't even look like plastic. They look deflated. I'm really unhappy with this. There's another pink cupcake that has, I guess these bags don't look that bad. The penmanship on the piece of fondant that says denim and lace is like really, really bad. I have bad handwriting, but when I like write on a cake or something, it's good because I worked at it. If you're gonna just write with an edible pen on a piece of fondant, you need to have beautiful handwriting, and this ain't it.
oh yeah, this is a time where you need to be calm and slow about it and do it purposefully.
Yeah, and then these other cupcakes just have like a piece of flesh-colored fondant on top of them, and it's really unsettling.
Talk about the
That was-
lightning bolts, Amber.
The light,
Those are
The
supposed to be
squiggles?
lightning bolts.
those are squiggles.
They're so inconsistent. Some of them have like a little crossbar on the top, and some of them don't.
So when you
Some
make
of them are round.
when you make something like this and it's like a set of them, they need to be as close to identical as possible. That's what you're going for. You want 6, 10, 24, however freaking many copies that are as close to the same as you can get. And there is like no consistency in here other than the fact that these all look like the little pieces of flesh that tattoo artists learn to tattoo on.
It reminds me of
Skins.
it reminds me of bologna
like
with like
the
a
fake
little like
skin
splat
things.
thing of mustard on it.
Oh my god, it
Yeah.
does look like bologna. Oh
Like-
my god.
It looks like she was making her lunch and was like, you know what? Never mind. Let me put this on a cupcake and write fusion on it.
It does look like.
Like,
Why are some of the letters capitalized and then the I isn't? Is that like a
So-
logo?
that could be the business because I
Okay.
do know that this one was for a business,
It's for a
but
jewelry store, a new jewelry store that was opening up on their strip.
Okay. Is that the backstory that you were getting?
Yes,
Okay.
it
I'm
was.
ready
It
for
was just
that.
that simple.
Okay.
It was just
Oh,
that
okay.
simple.
so the other thing to know is she has a video where she's making these fusion cupcakes. She doesn't put icing on the ones with fondant on them.
No.
There's no icing. Like there's nothing to eat.
I
on
was
it.
gonna
Like,
ask, but like I was like, surely she can't be that fucking stupid.
because literally no one likes the taste of fondant.
I know
Fondant
some
doesn't
people that
exist
do.
and taste good.
Like I know some
okay.
people that like it, but it's few and far between because the shit's fucking gross, but why
Yeah.
would you even like, so there were a few times when I was a cake decorator that we would get businesses that were like, we want our logo printed on all of these, and we would have to print out the edible image paper and cut them out, but we still iced them first. Like, what kind of fucking turnip doesn't ice them?
That's the thing, is that with something like this, okay, it looks pretty bad, but if you've at least got icing underneath it, then you
Brittany,
can pull
no.
the fondant off.
The
And-
taco.
Okay, that was the one that I was saving.
She
for
showed
last
me the
because
taco
it's so-
before.
It's so bad. That was the one that immediately caught my eye, and I was like, "There's
So-
no way she sold this to a
No,
customer."
we made taco cakes like this at the store that I worked at. We made these, but they were like cuter than that. We put more effort in.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I have seen these before, so like I know that they can look pretty cute.
This is an assault on my eyeballs. I am
Hold on.
offended.
I have
No.
to show you this one because the cake is actually kind of cute, but the issue was how she cut it.
Okay.
Like, why would you cut the cake that way? That would have been a fine looking cake. She cut-
You know,
Huh?
when I was a pastry chef, I really had to like cut things as evenly as possible because every plate had to be identical. And this is
Like that would like if
what
I saw
in
that
the uzumaki
cake-
is going on here?
If I saw that cake in a cake case and it was not cut, I would be like, that looks good. I might have actually bought that.
That's because she covered up her mistakes with chocolate.
But then
Yeah.
the way she cut it.
She cut it very poorly. I'm surprised that she doesn't have a knife that can cut all the way through a cake. She should have one of those if she's going to be cutting cakes.
That's what's so
Or-
funny because I don't know if you guys saw her newest TikTok today, but people are sending her cake supplies.
No, send me your cake supplies. Send them to
Oh.
me. Give me your
Send
money.
them, yeah, send
Like-
them to people that deserve it. Come on.
We got past everybody kind of dunking on Kylie, and now people are just trying to offer advice and provide tools.
No.
That just seems like where
No.
we're at in the Cakegate.
Absolutely not. Because do you
Like-
know that she has the most valuable resource at her fingertips? She has the fucking internet. She has the goddamn internet. Do you know
Well,
what
that's what
shit
she
you
said she
can?
learned how to do it.
Yeah, clearly not long enough.
Apparently not. Yeah.
There's so much that you can learn to do on YouTube or like by going somewhere and just taking a course. I don't know if they do it anymore, but Joanne's used to what the fuck did you just send me? Joanne's used
So
to
you can learn
offer
how to
like
do that.
cake decorating stuff. I've made cakes that are similar to this one, but without the whatever this green thing. What is the green thing?
I don't know what the green thing is.
Okay, so it's a football field cake, which is standard, and it's got the yard lines on it, and it's got a fuzzy football sitting atop grass for some reason that is different from the texture of the rest of the cake. And then there's something green on top, and it kind of looks like it is a little baby.
Oh.
Could it
I
be a
think there
gender
is.
reveal cake or a baby shower cake?
If this was somebody's gender reveal cake, I weep for them.
It's West
Oh, yeah.
Virginia. Like, not to dunk on West Virginia. We're from we have family in West Virginia.
Yeah, like I just
So-
had some people up from West Virginia.
Yeah, so it's, it's not like that, but also it's a little bit like that.
It is. Well, I mean, that's why my one person in West Virginia orders like as many pies as I can make her at one time when she's up here because she's like, I can't get anything this good down there. So how many pecan pies can you make me for me to freeze?
You know, maybe that's why she thought that she could get away with this stuff. Maybe there really just isn't another bakery in the town. So,
Yeah,
like, if
but then
somebody
she-
needs a cake, they have to go to her.
But then
They're
she made a
probably
mistake
not.
of
They
posting
probably have
it.
to drive. Yeah, they probably have to drive pretty decently to run into another full service bakery like that.
Not to sound mean or cocky or arrogant or anything, but if she has a 6-figure business, imagine how powerful I could be if I wasn't chronically exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
No, what
Big
else did you
time.
send? What is this? Oh no! Oh no! Is that
It keeps going.
is that purple drink
I
being
think
poured
so.
on a weed cake with fake money on it?
Yeah.
The
This is-
420.
Why?
Smoke weed every day.
Oh, the barrel cake.
I really wanted you to see that one.
Like in theory, this cake could have looked really cool because it's supposed to look like a barrel that the whiskey gets aged in with Jack Daniels on it, but it just is so lumpy and bumpy and misshapen because she doesn't know how to use fondant. She clearly doesn't have a steamer for the fondant.
No, not at all. In all of her TikToks, I haven't seen her use a steamer.
Why does the
Oh,
top
that
of
would
it
make
look
more
like
sense.
it's got packing peanuts in it?
So the funny story in this video is she didn't have time to make sugar glass, so what she did instead was took rock candy and crushed it up to look like ice.
It looks like packing peanuts. The eco peanuts, because they're a little bit yellow because they're corn.
Mm-hmm.
It looks exactly like those. Like,
Yeah, it's supposed to be
thinking about what
supposed to
those
be
look
ice.
like, seeing what those look like, it makes me be able to smell corn packing peanuts.
That synesthesia.
Yeah, like these aren't good. I sound like a very, very mean person in this episode.
Which is definitely not you. Like
No,
to
but
me,
like
you're like the mom of the group.
But this is like my thing. This is one of my passions in life. I've been baking since I could walk. I used to have to stand on a chair to be able to reach stuff to bake because I was such a small child when I began baking. I started as a home baker. I have a lot of respect for home bakers. I have a lot of love for people that make things at home that are delicious and beautiful. These things are not beautiful, and I bet they're not delicious. I can't.
It's gotta taste like pure sugar and nothing.
Especially
Yeah.
the freaking fondant cupcakes.
Yeah,
You're
like-
not giving them something to eat.
I
Like,
use extremely high quality ingredients even at home. Like I still buy the $100 bags of imported Belgian chocolate. I use very expensive vanilla bean paste. I only use fresh fruits and stuff when I'm doing fruits. I just made a wedding cake a few weeks ago and I candied my own lemons to go on it. And that cake
They
was
were beautiful.
beautiful with all the flowers and stuff I did on it. And it had to be gluten free so I can accommodate all that stuff, which means that I had to sanitize every single thing I was using because sometimes even if you wash something, you don't properly wash the allergens away. So I had to wash my whole kitchen and then like bleach sanitize everything. And I've been assaulted with another cake. Oh geez. Chick-fil-A cake, which
You're welcome.
Oh god. Ew. What's with the weird chicken patty thing?
I don't know, but I think it's made out of cake, but the TikTok didn't really show it.
Oh.
So for all I know, that shit could just be a veggie burger.
Okay,
because that's what it
so-
kind of looks like.
This cake is too heavy on top because the sides are bulging. You can see where one of the layers is like bulging out. Cake's not always very heavy. And a lot of the time you don't want your cake to be heavy. You want it to be nice and light and fluffy, especially if you're just making like a single tiered cake. If you're making a cake that's going to have another cake sitting on top of it, you might want to go with some kind of sponge that's going to be a little bit heavier. This can be just
So-
like a nice light cake, and it looks like she just put too much shit on top of it and it's squishing the entire cake.
So I think what part of the issue is too, because she uses box mixes, but I don't know
She
how
uses
closely
box
she
mixes?
folds- Yeah, it's in her
Yeah.
videos. Like you could see the Betty Crocker and the Duncan Hines in the
She
background.
uses box mixes?
that's
but-
like part of the whole. That's
But
part of
this
the
is-
whole Cakegate thing.
But
If you're,
this
if
is
you're
the
making
thing.
it for a friend or like home and not charging people for it, use a box mix. But
But this is the thing with that is that I think she's being inconsistent with it too. I don't think she's following the
instructions,
directions
yeah, like she's trying to like
explicitly on
zhuzh
the
it up.
box. But I think it's doing a poor job, and that's why her layers are so funky. Is because one will rise, one won't rise, one is denser than the other. It's not consistent because I don't think it's out of the norm for cake places to use box cake mix. It's how they use it.
There's
Well,
there's
that
a lot
makes
of
it out
places
of
I
the
know
norm.
that don't. Like those smaller bakeries, a lot of them don't. Professional places, like where I worked, our cake came in frozen from our bakery that made it. But it was
I know a lot of people that will use box cake mix to make their cake pops.
yeah, and I saw a TikTok from somebody who is also a baker by trade, and they said that basically one of the things that would justify a price point like she is charging people is that it's actually made from scratch. And the fact that she's using box cake mix is one of those things that kind of automatically, like, because you charge less for your cakes,
Yeah.
and you're actually using premium ingredients and making everything from scratch. And here's this person using literally the boxed cake
I
mix.
even go so far as to go in and like calculate like, okay, I'm probably going to use this much of this expensive ingredient. How much can I justify? And like that wedding cake I made a couple weeks ago, I made $100 on that. And that's not what I asked for it. They were just like, let me know if you need more because this cake is worth more than this.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that you could charge more for what you make, especially because you
I think you're
have this skill to
shortchanging
make it look very
yourself.
pretty.
You're shortchanging yourself on your labor is really what it is.
Yeah, because
I don't
mean,
know,
you
like
see-
seeing this chick and like seeing her cakes and seeing what she charges, I may have to adjust my pricing. My pies and stuff are priced fairly. My cakes are priced by the customer, and it says that on my site. There is no this is what a cake costs thing on my site because
you're making it individual to the client.
Yeah, and like sometimes there's a fee for going and setting up a wedding cake. That there is a fee for that. There's an upcharge for gluten-free because the flour costs so much more.
Mm.
I am
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on the fact that she's charging this kind of money for box cake mix. I could not bring myself to do that. Even if somebody was like, I only have this much to spend on a cake, just use box cake mix, I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna do you a solid. I'm still gonna bake you a cake from scratch and we're gonna make it work for your price point. But like that I'm so bothered. Like if it's just for like your friends or family or whatever, I'm not saying that box mix can't be good because where I worked, we did use box mixes a lot, but we also did make some things from scratch and it makes a difference.
And given the place that we worked for was like a grocery store with a bakery in it.
Yes.
Like she has a standalone bakery that only does baked goods. And when you have a place like that, what your cake tastes like is part of your brand. Because, different places have different tasting cakes and stuff like that.
She should have her own recipes. I spent years, I have my own recipes.
Yeah, if she's using box cake mix, her cake is actually Betty Crocker's recipe.
Yeah, which can be inconsistent too. Like those box mixes, they're not the same every time.
Which is why, again, her
cakes are a little fucking,
inconsistent. Yeah.
It's one thing if you're making something yourself at home for like a party or for your family or like what have you, and like you're just doing it yourself. But if you're buying a cake from an official place whose whole business is selling cakes, it should taste different than fucking Duncan Hines.
Yeah, like this is really upsetting to me. Like this is properly like I cannot with this. Not a wedding cake.
There's a few. That one's actually one of the better looking
fine
ones
because it's that whole naked cake trend, which is very forgiving. You're pretty much only doing a little bit more than a crumb coat. So like you can see through, you can see the cake, but it's sealed enough so that the cake doesn't dry out. I think the florals that are on this one kind of take your eye away from a couple questionable little areas. But the really interesting thing is that the layers are not all the same thickness, I guess. Because so like the bottom tier is a thicker one, the middle tier looks a little thinner, and then the top tier is thicker again. It's not consistent, and you really want those to try to be exactly the same. And that's when you should be using a leveler and stuff.
Pay attention to the center. Do you see how those layers are off center?
On the cake? Or you mean like how it's kind of like crooked looking?
Is the cake supposed to be crooked looking?
So that's
to me, it felt like she placed the cake tiers wrong. It's cockeyed.
Well, you've also got the roses on different sides of the cake.
No, I think I see what you're looking at. It's the fact that you can see the cake board on the top layer.
That was something that I noticed too. Is that like you can see the board poking out of it?
No, you shouldn't be able to see that. So one of the things that I do is that I will, instead of like completely leveling a layer of cake, I'll just flip it over because the bottom's flat, and it looks like she did that. But because this is a naked cake, you can really see the unevenness. So like when it's a naked cake, I can't get away with doing that. Like I've done one of these cakes. You guys have seen it where I baked the donuts and stuff and put it on it.
Yeah.
Oh, this one is off center. That second one.
Yeah, I had to pull one that was definitely off center. It feels like she has a hard time.
I'm not sure if
getting
that was
her cake layers to center. I don't think it's intentional. I think she just can't do it because look, it's
another naked cake,
so
and it's not done quite right because there's crumbs throughout it.
There's one not naked that looks like it also has the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
The top of this second cake is not good. It is very difficult to just using like a spatula or whatever completely flat ice the top of a round cake. It's difficult. Wow, that cake's fucking ugly.
So one thing I noticed with all of them is that they all have those fake flowers on them.
I use real florals, but I have a connection to a florist that is local.
Well, my thought with that, like, okay, like you're using the fake flowers as a decoration, whatever, that's okay. I noticed that she uses them on the ones that are crooked, and I'm wondering if maybe she's places them in such a way that she's trying to cover up, just how uneven it is.
It could be. I mean, I
think that when I was looking at that first one, I was thinking, oh, it's not crooked, it's just the roses, but that's probably on purpose.
Yeah, a lot of these tiered cakes are just crooked as hell.
I also heard there was a cake that their client had actually provided the decorations for. The client had put the stuff on the cake, and
so if somebody wants something specific, like if they want like a toy or something on a cake, I will say that they need to order it and send it to me or pay me to get it. I made that pumpkin unicorn cake.
Yeah, people buying their own
Yeah.
decorations to kind of spice up their cake isn't
No,
out
but
of the
like I
norm.
put that on.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
not
the
out of the
person
norm.
paid for it and sent it to me because I was like, well, this is going to get added onto the price of your cake. So you can just order it on Amazon and send it to me. You can meet me with it, or I can just have it. And when you pick it up, I can put it on for you.
Yeah, which makes total sense. I know that that's something that happens a lot. The part that I think was like kind of tripping people up is that she was posting the picture of the final cake with the client's decorations on it, that the
Oh,
client
the client added
put
them.
on, the client put it on themselves,
Mm.
from what I
No-
understand. If I'm
No, that TikTok that I was watching that you're referencing, Lilith, they brought her those decorations.
Okay,
And
they brought
she put it, yeah,
Okay.
and she
So
put them
that's
on.
fine. Can I
makes
talk
sense.
about this other cake though? Because it's real bad.
Okay.
Go for
So it's another naked cake with unglazed fruit on it,
Oh.
which is a bad idea. You definitely want to glaze that fruit to make it beautiful and shiny.
And
Little-
to keep as well, especially if you're going to have something
yes,
that's going to be
especially
sitting out
because
for a
wedding
while.
cakes have to be made at least a day ahead.
Yeah.
The layers, the like tiers are really uneven. That top tier is like way thick. There's
Oh,
more
yeah.
bulging issues. It's definitely crooked.
Yeah, there's
Honestly,
3 layers of cake on the middle layer, and then it looks
there's
like 1,
three.
2, 3,
There's
4.
there's 3 or
Oh, there's
4 on
3.
all of them.
She
Okay.
does 4 layers for her 6-inch cakes. She said
Yeah,
that
but I thought
specifically in her
but this is
TikToks.
this is a tiered one, so it might be different.
But the top is still the 6-inch. That's
I
the
know,
basic 6-inch.
But
that
she meant just a 6-inch cake. This is not just a 6-inch cake. This is a 3-tier cake.
the cake at the top layer thing.
Yeah, but she meant
that's
I know, but she meant when she just makes a 6-inch cake for somebody, it's 4 layers. This
Yeah.
is a tiered cake, so they'd all have the same amount of layers in each tier. They just didn't bake very well. Oh man, she's got an airbrush too. It's really
Oh,
hard to
no.
airbrush cakes. That's one of the things I got really good at because we would take like really crazy orders. My coworker had to do tie dye, and it was beautiful. I still have pictures of it. She airbrushed tie dye on a cake. I did airbrushed camo a couple times. I had to draw a lot of crazy stuff on cakes. I do not know what is sitting on top of this pink airbrushed cake that I'm looking at
I think it's supposed to be a donut
with an
because
S
it's a
on it.
donut because it's a donut party cake, but I legitimately have no idea.
So she like bought a donut from somewhere and used an
I-
airbrush on it.
I
I hope
have
she knows
no
how to
idea.
properly clean this airbrush. Airbrushers are like, it was a pain. It was like the worst. Every time we had to use it, it was so messy and
yeah.
finicky, and then you have to clean it.
I hope she knows how to clean her hands since she does these TikToks where she's putting everything on with her bare hands.
That's
So what
not
I'm gonna-
unusual.
It's not unusual. Like, I know for sure that people do it. It's just she's making all these other mistakes that professionals should know about.
Well, yeah. And
Yeah.
here's the thing that I think this might be a bit of a hot take. I think you should be ServSafe certified, which I need to redo my certification. I was ServSafe certified because I had to be for my pastry chef job. I think you should do that if you're going to be selling people food.
I feel like everybody could probably learn something from the ServSafe course because
You can
I
take
got
it yourself. Like it's
Yeah.
free. It's not free, but like it's open to anybody. Like you can go on the
Yeah.
website and you can sign up for it and you can take the course and you can take the test and you can print your certification. And I need to redo that because mine is expired now technically. But I have taken the course. I had to take it.
It's
for
not like
work.
the information changes. Like, getting your certification is a good
Yeah.
idea.
Like I've had
but,
a lot
like-
of food safety training.
Yeah, I agree. I probably don't still have a food safe certification.
I think people
was,
don't
and I
understand that
did-
you
I took the
can't
class.
you can poison people with cake.
Yeah, there's so many ways that you can unintentionally fuck things up. These guys know me. Like, I have never been with myself. Like, I've eaten things that I really shouldn't have. And taking that ServSafe course let me know just how much I was risking by doing those things.
Oh yeah.
And given what I do for myself and what I do when I'm working for a business are totally different because when you're in work mode, you're in work mode. I actually didn't have to work in the kitchen or anything like that. I just got the certification because I was management and had to know how to do it. And
Yeah, like you have to know the information.
yeah, I just have to know the information, especially when it comes to checking refrigerator temps and stuff like that, because I still had to do things of that nature to make sure that the food wasn't going to like spoil and whatnot and make sure everything is the way it should be. There's a lot of things that you should know when it comes to food that aren't necessarily just common knowledge.
Yeah, I think everybody would benefit from like a little bit of a food safety course just so like you don't poison yourself at home.
Yeah,
But
'cause it's surprisingly easy.
especially if you're going to be serving food to people, you need to know that things can only sit out for so long. Butter's fine to sit out on its own until you mix it with something. Then it becomes hazardous.
Yeah,
Like
and
you can
there's-
keep butter in a crock or a butter bell on your counter and it's fine. But once you mix that butter into something, like once you make icing, that timer is started. It's going to become hazardous. And you've got a couple days, but it's going to go off.
Yeah, not everybody's gonna know the science behind that or what have you, or really like know how that stuff works. It can be serious business. I'm really surprised that I made it this far, eating the same Chipotle burrito out of a fucking backpack for 3 days in a row. I made it through, but I don't recommend doing it just because I survived to tell the tale.
Okay, Brittany sent some more pictures, and
Yeah, this
looking...
is her daily case stock. So this is stuff that she kind of makes every day, like brownies and cupcakes. And apparently she serves lunch stuff and does catering, and she also does cake classes.
Absolutely
Which I find
not.
that really presumptuous that she's teaching people to make cakes.
So
And she can barely make cakes.
it's really obvious looking at some of these cupcakes that she's not mixing properly. Some of these cupcakes have obviously overflowed while they're baking, and that means that these aren't being scooped consistently. They're all different sizes. I have a scooper. I use a scoop. Even when I bake my cake layers, I use a scoop to make sure that my layers are the same amount in each thing. And then she's got these cookies, these peanut butter bukkake cookies. It's just like a rosette of icing on a chocolate cookie with peanut butter splattered on it.
Oh yeah.
It looks like she made some berry bars. Yeah, those are blueberry bars, it says. It's just the cut.
They look
The cut's
dry.
just the cut is just so unclean.
Yeah, it's
Here's
They
really
look
jagged.
hella dry.
here's the thing.
I feel like I need to drink water looking
Yeah.
at it.
If you need to cut something and have the edges be beautiful, have your sink running, hot water between every cut, hot water on that knife. Make sure that it's
Oh,
perfectly
yeah.
clean. That's what I did. I would be cutting
Mhm.
like huge sheets of things where I was a pastry chef, and I would just have my big old knife and just run it under that hot water after every cut.
Oh yeah, that's really the way to do it. Hell, like I even did it that way when I was cutting things for clients at the bakery. That's how you get a clean
Yeah, like
cut.
you want it to be nice.
That's just some 101 shit that this person should know about. I did get some information. I watched a TikTok that she made about her journey as a businesswoman. So she did intern at a bakery at some point. I don't know how long, but she did intern at a bakery. So she was in contact with people who knew what they were doing at some point.
Well, that's a stretch because I believe she entered, but the thing about people knowing what they're doing, I kind of have a feeling it's just more home baker business owners.
It could be. The people that were teaching could be any level. It's possible that she only interned for like a very short period of time and was just like, I got this.
Right.
Because like when I was younger, I definitely felt that way before. Like I did something for like a short period of time. I was like, oh, I got this. This is fine. And then just would continue to do it. But obviously you get a plateau in results when you aren't continuing to teach yourself how to do things or continuing to learn.
People intern at bakeries. I've heard of apprenticeships. Like I had to be an apprentice baker and then an apprentice cake decorator.
She used the term interning.
It's
It's
possible that
usually
she actually meant.
apprenticeship.
So that's a good question because yeah, the
Like
terminology
I had to take
interesting.
tests, and like I was tested on my skills to become a fully fledged baker and then cake decorator. Like I had to be an apprentice for months.
I
So-
think it was literally just like an under your wing kind of thing. The way I imagine it, and this is not fact, this is just my headcanon, is that, you know, she got hired on at a bakery to kind of help, probably with the storefront. After some time there, the kind, I'm going to assume they're elderly, again, this is just my headcanon, the kind elderly people that owned the bakery were teaching her some tips and tricks and letting her get her like hands dirty in a sense and trying to make some cakes. And I think that's what she means by interning, because there's no way she was a full-fledged apprentice doing that whole process and have this skill level. There's no way. I don't believe it.
Unless she apprenticed for like a week.
So I can kind of see like Brittany's talking about, because as someone who worked in a bakery but didn't actually do any baking or real cake decorating, I picked up a lot of stuff just watching other people do it. And
Yeah.
like sometimes they'd let me try out different things. So I can see where someone would do something like that and then just think, oh, like this can't be too hard to do on my own. Or maybe they just got too much of like a head about it. In my days when I thought that lying was a way that I could make friends, I could have seen myself saying something like I worked at a bakery and just letting people think that I actually baked the cakes or decorated or whatever, and just talk about how I used to write on cakes and the weird stuff people would put, and then just let people assume. I could see somebody doing something like what I did and then thinking, well, I have experience, even though that's not really what what that is. I didn't
Yeah.
I knew that those cakes came in frozen. I would see
tell
them come in
people,
and
I
stuff
told
like that.
people, they're like, hey, when you guys make the cakes? I'm like, we don't. They're in the freezer. You want me to show you? I was upfront
Yeah.
about it. I was like, I'm not going to lie to people.
When people go there, they're not under any illusions as to like what
No,
they're
they
getting.
are. Where I worked,
Yeah.
like the town I
really?
worked, the city I worked in, everybody was like, what do you mean you don't make the cakes here? I was like, how many, do you know how many fucking cakes? We would have to have a completely separate oven with a completely separate person baking 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
They
And
were
the
always
thing
so
is that-
offended. They were like clutching their pearls, like, you don't make the cakes here?
Surprise.
No, I don't. We are not equipped for that. We are a grocery store.
Yeah. And even then, like,
Go
I mean,
to a
like, think
real
about-
bakery.
Yeah, and given you are still getting the talent at the bakery of the decorating and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And I
like
know-
we had really strong decorators at my store. Not to like toot my own horn or anything, but like you guys have seen some of the stuff that I did there. There was one that they were like, we want you to draw like a spooky tree and airbrush the background with like the moon and draw a creepy white cat with blue eyes. And I was like, I got you, fam. And I did it.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's like when you go to those places, what you're really paying for is the decorator's talent and the recipe of that bakery. Because even though they come in frozen, it is that company's recipe.
Yes, like they
And
had a couple
that's-
things that were unique to them.
And that's why when you buy cakes at like Walmart or Giant Eagle or Kroger or what have you, their price point for those well decorated cakes is still like $16.99.
We would upcharge
$23.99.
we would upcharge if you wanted something hand drawn on a cake.
Yeah. Like if you wanted a
Yeah.
custom cake, it would be more, but it still wouldn't be.
But
it
if
wouldn't
you're
even
having
be
a
these
pretty
prices.
cake out of the case,
Yeah.
you know,
Like if you
literally
just
the
want some like
sticker
roses
price.
or some shit, it's just $24.99 or whatever. But if you wanted something custom and you wanted it drawn on, it was like a $10 upcharge.
Woo,
Yeah.
$10 more. So instead of $24.99, I'm paying $34.99.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, even in these cases where you're getting a cake from a grocery store, you're still getting the grocery store's cake recipe. You're still getting the talent of the decorators. You're still getting a product that was made by the company and the talent that
Yeah,
that
there's
company
quality
hired.
control on it. It's going to
Yeah.
be the same.
And it's
every time.
reasonably
And it's consistent.
priced because
Yeah.
that's another thing we really need to hammer on in this Cakegate thing is that I feel like, again, she wouldn't be getting dunked on like she is if her prices reflected her work. Charging
Yeah.
$80 for some of these basic 6-inch cakes is absolutely ridiculous.
Mm.
People that go to professionals don't pay that much for like the rainbow sprinkle cake. That's
No.
insane.
Walmart has these cakes.
Yeah.
Well, cakes that are similar. You can get rainbow cakes.
Brittany's
like this
been
from Walmart.
Brittany's been begging me to make one of these cakes. She's like, "Can you just make one?
Yeah.
Oh my
I
gosh!
wanted
would
you to make
love
a
to see
TikTok.
your version.
Maybe I'll make one when we're going to be releasing this. Maybe I'll make one and put a TikTok out because this drama will be long forgotten and I'm just going to come out of nowhere like this little chaotic demon I am and be like, "You remember this? Do you remember?"
Oh
Oh,
my
yeah.
god, yeah. But
I
I
mean-
wanted to read this real quick because it's from her professional Facebook. This was posted a day ago.
Okay.
And she shared this thing, and I'm gonna read what she shared and then I'm gonna read her comment about it. So she shared this old post from somebody that says the unfortunate truth of owning and running a business. Running a business is really hard. What they don't tell you is that it can cause severe stress and anxiety and drains you mentally to the point of depression and even the most laid back people. People will talk about you, compare you to others, use you. They will view you as a service and not a person anymore. Friends and family will expect discounts and people will value you and your hard work less than a big chain store. You have to worry about if you forget to email message someone back. Are they going to think it was on purpose? Did you disappoint them? Will they hold that against you? When in reality, you just can't get to everyone's messages and emails. Starting up and running a successful business puts incredible strain on personal lives and relationships, many of which fail because there's just often no work-life balance. You need to be the director, the worker, the admin, the marketing team, the accountant, the cleaner, all while being a parent, a husband or a wife, family support, friend. There's a reason you don't see many people succeed in small businesses after 5 to 10 years. If they are successful, they are overwhelmed. It takes a toll. It's freaking exhausting, especially the past couple of years when so much has been out of our control. Here's a small reminder that we are just normal people with hectic lives. Be kind, be patient, support small businesses, and hopefully more of us will stick around. And know that 2022 prices are not 2023 prices. Then it kind of goes into some Facebook BS where it's like, I copied and support, copy this too, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I find really interesting is not even necessarily that post that she shared, even though it's weird that she shared something like that on her professional page, but her comment comments about it where she's like, I typically don't share things like this on my business page, but this needs to be shared. It's been extremely stressful since my viral post and the hundreds of thousands of opinions about me and my business. I'm so incredibly thankful for my loyal clientele and wonderful first time and continued customers over the course of the last 2 years on my journey as a business owner and cake decorator.
Only 2 years?
And that rubbed me the absolute wrong way because once again, none of that would have happened to you.
Like, she did it to herself.
If you weren't rude to your customer who was in the right, you gave her a shit product.
Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, I had that potential customer that I did get so... I wasn't even mad, I was horrifyingly shocked. I was so gobsmacked that I made a TikTok when that person wanted a tiered gluten-free cake for $50. And I was like, bitch, where? Like, a cake for ants? How small?
Oh yeah.
Like, that's the only time that I've come close to doing anything remotely like that. And that wasn't even...
just
that
the
person didn't
flour
even buy
would
for
take
me.
up the majority of that budget.
That's $100 bag of flour.
Holy shit.
I have it.
So like it wouldn't even cover the cost of the flour.
No,
That's
because I
bullshit.
told her it's going to be like 150, and she was like, I think it should only be 50 because that's what we've paid before. And I was like, where? Then go there.
Please tell me where that is.
But I was professional to her. I was like, I'm sorry that my price point doesn't match up with yours. Please let me know by this date if you change your mind so that I can still get this for you. And I never heard from her again.
Yeah, and the thing is, with this post she made, a lot of that stuff is true, but it has nothing to do with the situation she put herself in.
And I have
Like-
a problem with part of that post too that she shared because it said like people expecting like discounts and stuff. Brittany, you bought things from me.
Yeah, and I bought them at full price.
You've bought them with tip.
Yeah.
My
yeah, I don't know. I
friends,
feel like your true friends don't ask for discounts.
my friends have never asked for any. I've sold a lot of things to a lot of my friends, and they have never asked me for a discount.
The people that ask for discounts are always the people that are acquaintances that think you're friends that
Yes.
really just want to use the connection to get something over on you, which aren't really friends. They're just people that are trying to get a little bit more than.
We used to know one of those.
Oh yeah, we did.
Let's not get into that because that's a whole podcast episode in itself.
We don't have
yeah,
time to
maybe
get
one
into
day.
all of that.
Yeah.
Maybe
uh,
we'll get around to something about some of that if some people want to talk about some things with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they want to make some of that public, we'll
Mm.
post it.
Well, I mean, it is public now. But Cakegate.
So another thing I found out too is that she started making things at home and selling it in 2019.
Mm.
She made an LLC in 2020 and got her storefront in 2022. So she's only really had like a physical storefront for like a year.
Okay.
So she hasn't really been doing this for very long anyway.
In a professional sense. Like,
in
we
a
don't know if
professional
she did home baking because I don't want it to sound like I hate home bakers. Like, I have a deep, passionate love for home bakers. That's how I learned how to bake. That's where the passion for this kind of thing starts. But it's the
Oh, yeah.
people that want to think that they can just do things like learn how to do this in under a year, use box cake mixes, and just take advantage of people like this. Because that's what this is. She's taking advantage of people that probably don't have very many options where they live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it really angers me. Like, it hurts my heart
Yeah.
because I love baking for people. I love when people enjoy my food. I love making beautiful things that also taste beautiful. And I love watching people eat them and enjoy them. These things are not beautiful. They probably don't taste beautiful. And she should fucking feel bad.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, there are a lot of people out there that really have talent and really put in the time and the effort to learn their craft and really hone their skill. And then to see somebody who's going to slap a piece of bologna looking fondant on top of a cupcake with no icing and not even take the time to make sure that your lettering is consistent.
There's
you-
no
that's
love
just-
in this. Like, there's
there's-
no,
yeah.
I can just looking at it, like, there's no
There's
love
no-
in this. I
that's
showed you guys the
exactly what I meant.
professional pictures of that cake that I made a couple weeks ago earlier because I got those from the client. And I was like, these are great. Like, you can tell that I loved making that cake.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. And you can tell when somebody's passionate about something and they put that passion in their craft, and this person just doesn't. It's soulless. There's so many times where all they needed to do was just slow down and take the time to make it look okay for the customer, and she just chose not to and was like, this is fine, and then
Right.
just gave it to the customer.
It's not
It's
like
disrespectful to me.
I can't do that. I can't. Like, if I'm looking at you guys watched me. You guys watched me when I was making a cake one time and I was like, I don't like the way this looks. I gotta scrape it and start all the way over. I gotta make new buttercream cream and everything. And you guys were like,
Yeah.
it looked fine. I was like, it didn't look fine. And it looked better when I redid it.
Yeah, honestly, there's been times you've posted a picture and said, "Oh, this is wrong with it," and I can't even tell. But
Yeah, I'm
like,
I'm like, this part's real fucked up, but it's gonna get covered up, so I guess it's okay. You guys are like, it looks better than I could do.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I recognize when someone has a skill that I do not have.
I'm a Duncan Hines girly myself. Like
That's fine.
that's the best you're going to get out of me.
And I
Well,
would
you're also,
gladly
like,
eat
not
it
into
because you're
sweets.
not charging me $60 for it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's free.
Yeah.
I got some cake mixes in my cupboard. Like, I actually kind of want to make one now.
I've used cake
But-
mix. Like, I'm not above using cake mix. I just don't sell it to people.
The thing is that even if she wanted to keep with the box mix life or whatever, her prices should reflect that. I think that that's the biggest thing, is that her prices don't reflect the product that she's given. You know, for an $80 cake, it should be made from scratch. She should be waiting until the cake is cooled to put the icing on it.
I just think that she needs to do a little bit of soul searching and see if this is something that she's really passionate about, because I do not see the love in her craft. I see her thinking like, oh, this is a really easy way to make money. And it's not. It's not. This stuff is hard.
She claims that she spends 80 to 100 hours a week doing this.
I mean, I can believe it.
I can
because she's
believe that
not
because it
just
takes
baking.
time. Yeah.
And she's
Which-
not just baking. She's catering. She has mixed drinks at her place. She's serving hot food on
She
top
actually-
of the baking.
So she said that initially when she started her business, she was actually a bartender full time when she started doing her business on the side. It's possible that maybe during that time when she was just kind of making one-off stuff for people, maybe she was passionate about it.
That's
that
the
she-
other thing
She
about
might have lost it.
Yeah, that's the thing about doing something that you love so much full time. Like, that's why I'm not a pastry chef anymore, because not only was I breaking my body a lot of the time working so many hours because there were so few of us there, I wasn't happy. Yes, I got to make a lot of beautiful things. I got to work some pretty important events and do things that I never could have dreamed of doing on my own. But when you do something that you're passionate about as a job, sometimes it just kind of kills that passion. And maybe that's happening here because I do not see any care or love in these items.
That's one of the benefit of the doubts that I'll give her, is that maybe at one point she was passionate about this and she did love this, but it's very clear that she's kind of gotten to the point where she doesn't really care anymore about the product that she's putting out.
Right. Like, if she thinks that this case stuff is fine to put out like this, she needs to take a vacation. Like, she needs to step away for a little bit and make sure that this is what she wants to do with her life.
Yeah, like, go have your eat, pray, love or whatever, and then maybe you'll come back
Go to a
reflect-
farmer's
regret.
market. Go to a farmer's market.
Yeah.
Fixes everything.
So there's one last piece to this puzzle that might upset you.
Oh, good. Great. Love that for me.
So they also made courses to teach people how to start a business.
I feel like that's unacceptable because if I remember in one of her TikToks, she mentioned how the business kind of fell into her lap.
Yeah, that doesn't typically happen.
I've watched a lot of her videos because, you know, this has been popping up and everybody's talking about it and whatnot. And from everything that I've heard her say herself, it doesn't seem like she hustled. It doesn't seem like she did things in a way that would actually work today. Part of it was probably the COVID bubble, that people were indoors and there were a lot of people making businesses and they were popping off back then. And it was pretty easy to kind of get something started. Her husband does have companies and stuff like that, but like, I don't get the impression that the things that happened were intentional and that she did them.
Well,
'Cause,
yeah, but like, just because like somebody around you has companies and stuff, that doesn't mean that you're like business professional. Like, my mom does payroll, but I can't do payroll.
Yeah, they're not really qualified to be teaching classes on how to start a business.
Yeah, that's
but
really
they're still
irresponsible.
going to be like charging people money to do that.
It's a little slimy.
I don't remember exactly like how much they were charging for the course. I think it was like $25 or something like that to like have them teach you how to start a business. To me, it kind of seems like an Andrew Tate Hustlers University level kind of thing.
Brittany
I
sent me
mean,
something to
her-
play.
Her cake decorating classes are $55 for one seat,
Oh,
but
Brittany,
you get a cake to decorate.
do you want me
so-
to click this to play it?
Yes, because that was Kylie's response after the cake thing blew up, where Trilby's daughter basically
Okay.
did a response.
Since you guys just love to talk about me and make viral videos about me, honestly, it's very funny to me. I'm not offended by your guys' comments because honestly, I mean, look at some of you. It's pointless, your time and effort. Anyway, there's now a viral video going around about how I use other people's work, and that's not true. I host cake decorating classes in my hometown, and I've done this for years, and I use inspiration photos as to what we will be creating during this class. My customers are well aware of this, and it's honestly just so funny. Y'all try to reach so hard. I have worked extremely hard to get where I am, and just the fact that you guys that have nothing going on with your life and yourself have so much to say about a situation that you don't know the full backstory on. I would, just keep my mouth shut because it's not doing anything.
Okay, first of all, she looked exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She was exhausted because, I mean, I don't doubt for even a second that she probably pulls long ass hours.
Oh, yeah.
I'm constantly working. And she's a mom of 4 kids on top of that. So she's not sleeping. And I'm sure that attributes to some of her sloppiness. And honestly, again, I'm going to reiterate myself. None of this would happen if it wasn't her ego. I felt like you could really hear and feel that ego shining through. She thinks she's better than everyone else because she had this business fall onto her lap, that she's selling these cakes, that she feels like she's successful because she's doing well in her small town.
I sent you one of the pictures that's being talked about. So this is like
it's a drip cake. It's a chocolate drip cake with little mounds on it and some Ghirardelli squares.
Yeah. So this is like a photo of someone else's cake.
Yes.
She used it on her own website to say like, this is what we're going to do for a cake decorating class.
If I were to do that and I was using a reference photo that was not my own, I would make sure to say that was a reference photo from somewhere else.
Yeah, I think she just fucked that up in ignorance and not
like you got to do the
intentionally.
image credit. The couple times that I've had professional photos from weddings and stuff done of my cakes, I make sure to say this is not my photo. Like you always have to give photo credits.
Yeah, and I think that that's the key problem because I've seen this before, like Joann's or something like that. If Joann's is having like a cake decorating thing, they might show a picture of a cake that someone else made or what have you, and not exactly the person who is going to teach you or something like that. I can understand that. The problem that people are telling her that she's not really like quite listening to is that you need to credit the original artist that is in the picture. And I think that that's the problem. There's even a talk that she had when she was decorating the Wednesday Addams cake, which was one of the scandalous cakes on here. She had a video where she was decorating it and talking on TikTok, and she said that she didn't know who the original artist was who came up with the design. To me, that indicates that she doesn't really care about using the designs other people made, because I feel like if you're making this for a client, you're using an image of a cake that someone else made, that it would probably be a good idea, especially if you're going to make a TikTok about it, to credit the person that made the original so they don't have to make a TikTok of their own saying like, yeah, that was my cake that you were talking about.
Yeah.
You're kind of recreating a design that they made. I feel like, especially when it's so specific like that, I feel like it just makes sense to at least know who the artist is to credit them.
Right, like even if you just like ripped something off Google, just link back to wherever you got it on Google.
Yeah,
like,
that's really all it takes.
or just
make
make the fucking cake so that you have your own picture.
Yeah, like there's
Especially
so many
because-
ways that you could do it.
Well, for like a class, it would be beneficial to have an already done one there.
Yeah.
So you have
So that
the,
you know what
the
it's gonna look like.
example. This is where we're headed, and I'm gonna build one with you so that we can all follow together. But
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
also-
great at teaching people things. I get a little impatient.
Maybe this is just me, but if I'm about to teach a class how to make something, I would want to make it myself first just to make sure that I for sure know what I'm doing. Then again, like I don't do this all the time, but I would just do like a test cake to kind of remind myself of the steps that need to be taken or something like that. That way I know what it's going to turn out to look like and people are going to have a more realistic idea of what it can look like. Sometimes people put up pictures like this to make sure that it looks good like that in the photo. They might position things a certain way and like do
Yeah.
it this way, and it may look different from the one that you make in the class. So why not just say like, okay, these are the materials we're using? Because also it can look different if you're using different materials. If you're not using the same materials that the person originally made, some stuff could look different when you make it. But I don't know. I think that in the end, it just makes more sense to just credit the artist. Like just credit people. Like it's not that hard. It's like a couple extra words.
I don't know.
Because that's how you learn. You look at stuff online, you get inspiration, and you
Yeah.
try to do it yourself.
I have a hard time with pictures that are just like straight on, like this one reference picture is for this cake. I want to see the whole thing, but what does the back look like? And I know that the back
Yeah.
looks just like the front, like I know, but like my little autistic gremlin brain is like, like, we need to see the whole thing. I need a 3D
Show it
model.
all. Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Do you guys
3D
have any other thoughts on the whole Cakegate thing?
I'll just give you my closing thoughts
That's
in a
good.
nutshell. Basically, she fucked around and she found out. Don't be an asshole. Don't have an ego because it will come and bite you in the ass. I mean, that's really what happened here.
Lilith?
Yeah, my thoughts are you just need to learn how to take criticism and use it to better your business. I mean, when people are giving you criticism, you don't have to always look at it like people are just out to get you. I saw a lot of comments that people were giving good advice, real advice from real bakers and stuff, and just doubling down is not going to help you at all. Learn your craft, slow down sometimes. If you're just slapping stuff together and it's kind of looking bad, you're doing a disservice to your client. And also, fucking credit artists. Damn. Like,
Yeah. Why does it
just like
always come back
always.
to that? Why do we always come back to like credit your fucking artists, guys? Why does this happen so often?
It happens all the time. It's just a basic thing. Hell, that's like half of the tagline at this point.
That's
Credit your damn
yeah.
artists.
That's our new tagline. Good night, kids. Credit your artists. That's just what we're gonna say now.
Yeah, it'll be like our version of Spain New Year pets.
Yeah. I think
Just credit your artists.
I
Yeah.
think I got a lot of my thoughts out there. You guys know I got pretty heated about this whole thing.
And fairly.
Do
Just
a real
'cause-
simplified version of your thoughts.
If you are going to make the decision to be a home baker and try to sell things, spend more than a year honing your craft. Give free things to people who are going to be honest to you. And when you do start charging for things, if somebody is unhappy in any way, you need to refund their money or you need to give them something to make it right, or both. You cannot build a business thinking that you are right all of the time and not being willing to be humble and fix things when somebody is upset. And this person was very rightfully upset. I have huge respect for home bakers. I love them. Again, I started as a home baker, but you cannot learn how to be a professional cake decorator or pastry chef in a matter of a year. And that's all I've got. Credit your fucking artists.
Credit your artists.
Yes.
Make sure to come take a seat with us next time at the Weird Kids lunch table.
We're outie.
Bye.
Peace.
Goodbye.